Hello, my friends. It's funny, I haven't done a video, I mean, a non-live video in a while now. I've been doing the live videos now for 7 weeks. So, as I promised, here is one real video. And you know, after doing live videos, this is a piece of cake. It's funny how everything is relative. So, today, I want to talk about two topics really, which are, I think, affecting our lives in many ways, and we are not aware of them. At least most of us are not. And those topics are very powerful, and not just in the kind of a personal life, but also in business. As I told you, I do consulting for larger companies, and one of the issues here actually changed how they operate. So, also, this video you can share. You can share any video, but this one is not esoteric. And what I mean by that is that most of my videos are very unique, and only certain people, like most of you here, can really comprehend it and understand the depth of it. And as such, it's very hard to share. I got a comment from somebody here, and she says that when she shares this video, only 1.5 people out of 10 get it to some degree. So maybe it's a compliment for herself, but well, it should be a compliment, yes. So today I want to talk about two main topics, and then maybe some smaller, less significant stuff. And the first one is personalities, all about personalities and how they affect our lives and how are we not aware of it. And the second one, I want to go back to the sharp turn. You probably remember that one. Many people remember that one. I think it was quite a, I would say, important highlight of something. And this time, I call it Sharp Turn 2, because I'm going to talk about a sharp turn which is not to escape from a cougar or an imminent death or danger or anything like that. It's a sharp turn to actually escape from our boring situations or non-changing life and so on and so on. And that's why I call it sharp turn 2. And keep in mind that the personality and the sharp turn are connected, and that's why I brought them here together, because many times if you want to deal with your personality, you need to do a sharp turn. Okay, let's start with personalities. You see, I said many times in different videos and on different occasions that number one, personality is destiny. So when you get a personality at birth, this becomes your destiny. And it's very, very rare that changes. Only like near-death experience or something can shift this one in a significant way. And I'm going to demonstrate to you why I say that. Because this last week, in a meeting with some friends, we have what we call a parliament. It's few people, and we discuss all these kind of issues every Tuesday. And in that parliament, I had one of the friends there. He said to me that, personality, you don't get born with a personality, but you acquire it depending on the circumstances of your life. Neighborhood, parents, teachers, etc. And he was very adamant on that. And the way I explain that, I'll do it right here as well, the same way. So look at it this way. Parents would understand that better if they have more than one child. Because what happens is that, let's say the first child is born and is a perfect child. Like he doesn't cry for no reason, sleeps through the night and listens to what you're saying, and everything is really good, right? So you treat this child in a certain way, right? I'm talking now from my experience. Then you have a second child and it's exactly the opposite. He screams all the time, like he's not happy with anything, doesn't want to sleep at night, throws the food, and is like the exact opposite of the first child. So how are you going to treat this child? You're not going to treat him the same way like the first one, unless you are a robot. You will react, and you will treat that child in a different way. And when the child grows, he may say, whoa, my parents, they treated my brother that way, and they treated me that way, and this is what they did to me. This is why I'm that way. And the same goes for teachers. Later in life, right, they will treat that child differently because he acts differently. And usually treatment is a reaction. And then workplace, and so on, and so on, and so on. And the person does not realize where it comes from. They always say, well, they're picking on me, my parents didn't treat me, my teacher, did this to me. But in reality, it all happened because of that original personality we got. So that's why I say it's destiny, because everything else follows that and makes your destiny. And, the only way to deal with that is what I call to go up to the control tower. Like you have to go quite high above yourself to be able to see what your personality is and how it affects your life and how it affects every action of yours. And keep in mind that you have to do that with that personality. So it's not that simple. That's why I think, if possible, you should find somebody who can work with you, because if somebody else can see your personality, they can see it much better than you do, because they also see it from a perspective of how everybody sees it. It can help you a lot to look at it, analyze it, and try to, I don't want to say to improve, but to maybe shift it in ways that will improve your life, right? Also, you have to do more things out of character. And here it has two meanings, because out of character is an expression, but out of character as well, your character. And every time you do something like that, you will get a perspective on your personality. Because when you do something out of character, you will feel the resistance, and whatever you will feel will basically shine light on that aspect of your personality and will help you understand it. So, for example, if you are scared of heights, just for example, and you go jump out of a plane on a parachute, right? You will get a new perspective on your personality, because your personality, by doing so, will change. It will not change. It's not a sharp turn. Here we're talking about small turns, because personality you cannot change with a sharp turn unless, like I said, you experience something extreme. But doing something out of character is a good way to have a glimpse at your personality. Also keep in mind that the more you understand your character, the more control you get over your limitations and the ability to eliminate them. Because you cannot fix something if you don't know it's broken. That's unfortunate. But once you realize it's broken, then it's like 50% of the solution. And the second step is to realize what is broken. Okay? Also keep in mind that the more sharp turns you do, of the sort I'm going to talk about, the better you will know your character. Because again, every time you do that, it's like jumping out, like sky jumping out of that plane. let's talk about sharp turn number 2 now. So if you remember, in one of the videos, I'll find which one it is and I'll post the link to it here in the description. But in that video, I was talking about sharp turn to get out of a situation. Either some imminent threat, either through something that threatens you like at that moment, or an illness, or any of those. Because what happens is the reality, it just keeps sending us the same reality because it assumes that this is what we'll do next, and then everything is predictable. The person goes to the doctor, they say, oh, look here in the x-ray, you have this, you have that, and then there is a predictable path, which usually doesn't lead to a good place. But if you switch out of it, you make a sharp turn, you just say, this is not this, I don't want this, I believe that this is something different, and you really, really make a sharp turn in your attitude and in your beliefs at that moment, then reality will get confused. You won't be able to send you the same thing again. You will end up in a different place. And any place from this situation, any different place is better than that place where you are in. Okay? So today I want to talk about what I call a sharp turn in normal times. Okay? I'll give you an example. Let's say you have a job, right? You work for a company, and every so often, whatever that might be, a year, 6 months, 5 years, you get a promotion and you move up the ladder and you advance in the company, right? Well, this is the normal process. A sharp turn would be that you say, I don't want to wait 10 years to become a manager or whatever. And you just switch jobs. You go to a different place and start with a different company and a different career maybe even. And there, your future is way less predictable, but it's not going to be the same. So that sharp turn actually kicked you out of that linear, slow progress in the one company, and you went to some, let's say you go from an established company like General Electric to a startup, right? Well, it's a sharp turn. I mean, it's a very sharp turn because you lose your stability, your safety, and so on and so on, especially if you have a family and you are maybe a little bit older. But the possibilities are totally unpredictable both ways. But there is also a 50% or more chance that you will be much better off and you will be much happier, which is more important than the money. Same applies, for example, moving instead of renovating, right? It's a much sharper change than renovating because we always like that stability. We want to wake up in the morning and like to have stability, so consistency. Most people don't like this like crazy changes in their lives, but those crazy changes are the only way to make us happy and make life count, so that when we die, they cannot say, well, it's very hard to prove that person ever lived. And so on and so on and so on. It's, I guess you get the idea here. And keep in mind that doing any of those sharp turns is also creating a bubble. I was, not a bubble, sorry, a vessel. I was talking about vessels also in one of the videos there. And maybe I'll put a link to that one too. But whenever you do a sharp turn like that, you create a vessel for the universe to now fill it with all your goodies and surprises. Otherwise, you cannot do it, right? If you just keep doing the same thing and everything is predictable, you will never get a surprise. Like if you are at the job and you know that in a year they will promote you to this, and 2 years they promote you there, and this and that. Well, there's no surprises there, which to some people is nice. But I think that for me personally, I would rather have the surprises with the risks. I think this is what life is all about. So, There is another thing that I want to bring here, and I don't know exactly how to relate it, but I discovered that about myself, and I realized that many people have that thing is that sometimes, I know why I brought it here, because it's the opposite of sharp turn. We are actually resisting and not letting ourselves succeed, just because the subconscious somehow feels that it's kind of unknown, unpredictable. And I'll give you an example. Many times I run into a situation that I think about a new idea, I think about something, and I can see that I can actually implement it, and everything will change. Like I will like making live videos, for example, as opposed to making videos like this. And it took me a long time. Every time I was going to do it, and I was already ready, everything was there, I always found excuses not to do it. And it was subconscious, like I didn't realize. All of a sudden I went and I wanted to go up the mountain whenever I wanted to. It dragged, and I didn't do it, even though it's something that is causing me success. That's really on a small scale, but that also works on really large things. Sometimes I am like 100% sure that all of a sudden I can do something that for a long time I didn't believe I can do, and then I don't do it. I just kind of walk around it and play games and don't do it. And I think you should watch for this, because if you don't watch, you won't see it. You won't realize it happens to you. Like, pay attention that when you're going to do something which is going to take you to some next level, many times you just won't do it. And the reasons you will give yourself, they may make sense. But if you look at it, you will realize that they are just excuses. Okay? Talking about vessels, and some may not like that, but you know that a medication or even a vaccine is also a vessel. Because if we have some kind of an illness, right, and it's not going to just change by itself, but if you take some medication, then the universe can change it now, because it's got a natural way for you to reason. It has to be a reason. It's not going to be any miracles. Like I said, always appear in normal clothing. They don't come like miracles. So if you take a medication and you believe 100% that this medication is gonna 100% as much as you can, then the universe may actually use that as a vessel to fill it with your healing. And same goes for a vaccine. Because if you take a vaccine for something, and not necessarily COVID, right, then if there is the opportunity for you to get infected with that illness, the universe will cause you not to get infected, because there is a reason why you shouldn't get infected. It's maybe it's kind of hard to comprehend, but I'm just trying to show you that everything is a vessel, a thought. Because I get many people asking me, like, what is a vessel? Everything that can create a situation where the universe, God, can actually put something in that otherwise it couldn't. That's a vessel. It could be anything. Okay? So in summary, I have this Talk for Life channel, and I go one step back here into this sharp turn thing. I told you that I advised a company once and about a sharp turn, and it made a huge difference for them. Is that the concept of 20-80. So meaning that 20% of your customers actually give you 80% of the revenue. And it applies in many things, And most of us, we don't look at it that way. So if you are, say, a coach or a therapist or any of these things, right? And you have 1,000 customers, if you analyze it, you will see that 200 of them bring you 80% of all your revenue. The other 80% bring you only 20% of your revenue, right? And a sharp turn here would be to just, say, this 80% goes away. I'm not going to deal with it because it wastes my time. I have to utilize my time for the best of my ability because my time is precious. I have a family, I have this, I have that, I'm doing so many things, and I'm not going to sit there, right, and spend 80% of my time when I can only deal with the 20%, and then I have this much more time. This whole idea of looking at things and not just going with the flow. There is lots of things in your life, in your work, in your business, that if you sit down for a minute and analyze them, you will see that a sharp turn can actually change everything. There is a diagram with 4 squares. I think it comes from Covey, somebody, I forget his name. He's the one that came up with the 7 or 3 or 7 colors of hats for thinking. Covey, I think. Anyway, he has a thing with 4 squares, and he shows that what's important and what's urgent. And in essence, what he's saying there is that most things that are urgent are not important. And most things that are important are not urgent. So that 20-80% thing would be in the important but not urgent. Like you don't deal with it because you can continue to roll with things the way they are. And you deal with the urgent, like you deal with customers and complaints and whatever is urgent at that moment. But you don't really get to those important things which are not urgent. So pay attention to that. See, one of the things that I achieved going to that program, the Vipassana, which is a 10-day meditation thing, it wasn't so much the meditation, but it forced me after a day or two, because you're not supposed to talk to anybody, there is no phones, no pen, no paper. It forced me to think. And for the next 8 days, after the first 2 days just adjusting, I actually managed to think about all the important stuff which was never urgent. And when I came back from there, I changed my life. I did it actually twice in a space of 16 years. So now that the COVID looks to subside and go away, consider doing this. It's called Vipassana, and they have a branch almost in every large city in the world. Usually it's out of town, and it can really give you a hint where to use your sharp turns. All right, so this is for today, and I will see you again on Sunday on the live video at 11 o'clock Vancouver time. All the best and take care.